Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith and you're watching another review video here on the channel. Couldn't remember what series I was in, but it's just a review video. Today we are talking about one of my most anticipated books of the end of this year, Olivia Atwater's The Witchwood Knot. Let me shuffle so the cover can be there in its full glory. Very quick disclaimers before we start. I was sent a free digital review copy of this book via NetGalley. Regardless of where books come from, nobody's paying me to talk about books except my patrons, and all opinions are my own. I will keep this as spoiler-free as humanly possible while still talking about the whole of the book. If you want to go into this knowing absolutely nothing, pause the video. Come back when you've read it, we'll talk then, and I will link the story graph for the book below in case you want to check out any user-generated content warnings. This is more of a Gothic-leaning story than the Regency fairy tales books were, so I'd say from me, a content warning for kind of scary, jump-scary, haunted house kind of things. I've talked about Olivia Atwater reasonably recently on the channel when I reviewed her Regency fairy tale series. Here they are. She is an author of multiple things, including those books, and also books about being an author. This is the first book in a follow-on series from the Regency fairy tale series, Victorian fairy tales. We are in the exact same universe, we have just moved on in time, and this book is out on, if my information is correct, the 28th of November 2023, so right towards the end of the year. I would describe it as a Victorian Gothic scary story that has a strong romance in it, unlike the Regency books, which I would describe as romance books. In this story, we follow Winifred Hall, who is a youngish woman who is headed to the Witchwood Manor. I think it's a manor, I'm not certain. Hall. Big house, big Gothic house, in order to become a governess. She's not only there to be a governess to the young lad, she is also there to investigate the scary goings-on of the Witchwood Manor. The house has a second side, accessible through mirrors and through dream, and it's guarded by the fairy butler who nobody seems to want to talk about, Mr. Quincy. Can Winnie keep her young charge safe and also unravel the mystery of the manor? My first pro, I've just written Gothic goodness spooky house time, which I guess that was how I was feeling immediately after finishing this book. I really like a Gothic story. I've been really into haunted house things towards the end of this year. It's definitely come across in my reading. Some of it has been intentional. Some of them I have sought out. Some of them have just found me. Olivia Atwater talks about setting out wanting to write this more Gothic story, and I think she absolutely succeeds. Obviously, I've not read all of the greats of the Gothic subgenre, but this for me just really hit all of those tropes that you really want. I was genuinely scared of some of the elements of this story. It managed to be incredibly creepy, and I don't tend to get scared by books. I'll get skeeved out, but not scared. So the fact that Olivia Atwater manages to write this atmosphere in such a way that I was genuinely feeling a little bit concerned, I guess, for myself. It worked well for me. Let's talk about the romance, because I think a lot of people moving from the Regency fairy tales books into this will be wanting more of that romance, and it's definitely there. And I think if I read it again with an intention of reading it as a romance-focused book, I would feel more romance from it. However, I think overall it is less of a tropey romance story and much more to do with the plot, which I'll come on to in just a moment. However, I did like the romance. It's an enemies to more than enemies kind of story. I won't necessarily say lovers. It's complicated, but it's definitely enjoyable. I liked the chemistry between the characters. I thought that was a good time. But the actual plot, I think, is what shines in this story. I loved the idea of the Witchwood Knot, which is this kind of world beyond the manor, and how it tied back into the original series was also very interesting. And just the way that Olivia Atwater creates a world and a story and a plot that is simultaneously about just this one woman and this situation she's in, and also more broadly applies to this world. Very cool. Questing, mysteries, intrigue, threats, danger, high stakes, all of that stuff features in this book. I do think that means you get a little bit less of a sense of political satire than we had in the Regency books, but that might just be because we're working up to it and because we're not seeing Victorian society in quite the same way as we were seeing Regency society in the original trilogy. I don't know if it's a thing that Olivia Atwater's planning on pursuing in later books in the series. However, broadly speaking, this book felt much more of a supernatural take, with maybe a little bit to do with land and who has access to land and all of that stuff in there as well. Personally, really liked that as a line that the book went down, but obviously those looking for that more satirical element might not find that here. It did also take me a moment to settle into the story. Not a huge amount of time. I've had books that I've struggled with much more, but I didn't feel like I slipped in easily. I think that's because the tension is so high in the story and so much of it is Winifred discovering things and the mystery of it. perhaps that had an impact, but yeah, it just took me a little minute to get settled. But once I was settled, I had a great time. As I say, not as soft as the previous books were. Not that they didn't have biting elements to them, but it isn't as soft as those. It's still a good book, it's just a shift in tone slightly, I think, which is probably what you want for this series. And I did also really enjoy the fact that you could see continuity and change from the previous series, because a fair bit of time has passed, and getting to see what differences have been made to the world or what things have remained the same in the world is very fascinating. And I think fans of the series will also enjoy that. I'm excited to see more of it as the series goes on, but the bits that were in this book were really great. So for instance, looking at who is the Lord Sorcier now and what kind of attitudes do they have. I forgot to touch on Winifred as a character, which was very foolish of me. Winifred's great. All of the heroines of all of Olivia Atwater's books have been fantastic. I like Winifred. I love a feisty governess kind of character in this sort of story. I think that Winifred just hits all of those tropes really well in terms of her practicality and her willingness to dive into danger, but not for stupid reasons. It's always a good reason to be in danger. I like her a lot. She's a character I definitely saw a lot of myself in. I appreciate her. Yay for Winifred. If you are planning on picking this up, you want other things to read, or you want other recommendations, comparisons, that's the section we're in. If you haven't already read the Regency Fairy Tales books, I would read them first. I think they are very, very solid. I don't think it matters too much to read this first, but they're so different that you might as well read that whole trilogy and the short stories and then move on. I do have a review up for those if you want to check that out. I've been reading a lot of scary stories recently. I really loved The Hacienda by Elizabeth Cañas. I really liked The Hollow Places by T. Kingfisher. Absolutely fantastic. Those are some of my other haunted places recommendations from recently, but I do have a bunch of kind of Halloween time videos on the channel that you can also check out for more scary recommendations. Should you read The Witchwood Knot? If you are already a huge fan of the Regency Fairy Tales series, I think this is a great continuation. Obviously, I've mentioned it a lot in this video, very different in tone, but still holding on to that same core identity and that world, which I definitely think is a win. If you've not checked out any of Olivia Atwater's work before, as I say, you could start with this one, and I think if you prefer your romance a little bit lighter and your haunted house a little bit heavier, stronger, higher, not sure what the right word is there, this might be an option for you. Overall, everybody should read this. I really liked it. It's a great book. Have you read The Witchwood Knot? Do you have plans to? Let me know down in the comments below. Have you read any of Olivia Atwater's other stuff? Do you have a favourite haunted house story? Let me know down in the comments. While you're commenting, if you haven't already, please do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated. You can also come hang out on Discord where we have chill chats about books. I would like to say a huge thank you to all the ghosts who haunt me over on Patreon. They support the channel and in return get early access to videos, bonus content, live streams and more. If you'd like to join their number, that's linked below as well. Thank you so much to you for watching. That's all from me, and I will see you in the next one.
It's gonna be some bloopers now.
Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. I'm Judith, and you're watching another episode of. And this book is out on, I believe, the